For today's video, we're going to be looking at Terapagos with Noctowl, of course, but also Dusknoir, crucially, in the deck list. That Curse Blast unlocks the Briar supporter for this archetype, where the Unified Beatdown can push its damage output to KO some even higher hit point EX Pokemon in format with the help of that Dusknoir, or we can be making sure we're taking prizes on smaller Pokemon, and Briar can chip in. So effectively, a Unified Beatdown plus Dusknoir Briar combo means we can take 6 prize cards into attacks in certain instances, but also in those opening turns we can be very aggressive at trying to pick off multiple evolving Pokemon, which is really crucial in the format with Gardevoir, Charizard, Dragapult, these sorts of archetypes. Being able to Unified Beatdown plus Curse Blast KO, double Charmander, double Dreepy, these sorts of things, is so powerful in the game right now that we can really disrupt boards and effectively buy free turns from the opponent. I've tried to cherry pick pieces from both Tord's Decklist in Dortmund as well as the successful Joinville 60s, so I am going very high on those ball search cards. I really like the 3-1-2 line of Dusknoir, that's where I'm settled at right now. I'm currently not playing the Bouffalance, but that's definitely something you could consider coming into the deck to really buff up your Terapagos and make it much more bulky. And in real high roll situations, if you're able to establish the Bouffalance early enough in the game, you can protect some of these lower hit points colourless Pokemon from some spread attacks that are in the game, either from a Regidrago V-Star or from that Greninja as well. Do bear in mind that Palkia builds can still Curse Blast one of your Bouffalance, then the other one's shut down, and the opponent will still find ways to deal with your basics. This archetype is all about spamming that Jewel Seeker ability from Noctowl. It is simply such a powerful one, but there's also the 101 line of the Pidgeot EX in the 60. We can search this really easily with the Feather Ball in the deck, and I am still playing the 1 copy of Hisuian Heavy Ball just in case I need to pick out that Pidgey. It is one of the critical cards that we can use to search out our double turbo energies, which is a really big card in the deck. As for some other considerations coming into the deck list, Colress's Tenacity could be another way, outside of Pidgeot's, from finding your double turbo energy, as could Energy Lotto as an item option, although it's not guaranteed of course, but it can be something we can still Jewel Seeker into and give ourselves good odds of finding one of those double turbo energy. I do like Tord's approach of Turo, Thorton and Pal Pad in the deck list. I do think it gives you a lot of flexibility, but we have also seen things like Jet Energy come into the 60s to still respect the controlling matchups, and that actually enables the Fan Rotom to be a bit more of a useful attacker in the deck. There's also currently no V-Star power being utilised in the deck list. A number of the Limitless crew chose to have a 1-1 line of Regidrago V-Star in the 60. That gives you some extra dig into the deck, seeing 7 fresh cards, but also can pick things out of the discard pile for you to ensure a big combo. You can also think about simply having Lemiddion plus Forest Hill Stone in the 60 as an option as well. And Rotom V is something that's utilised very frequently by the Palkia Dusknoir players, just ending on an extra 3 cards to set yourself up solidly for the following turn. I do think a few archetypes will be adapting now to respect the Terapagos archetype. I do think you have to be a little bit more concerned about Regidrago, possibly taking in Noivern EX into the 60 alongside Temple of Sinnoh to possibly lock out the option of our Unified Beatdown attack. The good news is Noivern EX doesn't really have that high damage output, so if you wanted to respect that potential tech inclusion, you can play Lost Vacuum, which allows you to remove the Temple of Sinnoh at the very least. You're still not doing much with Terapagos, but you're at least swinging back into them. This certainly seems to be one of the strongest archetypes coming out of Stellar Crown, and it may end up being the strongest deck in the format. Let me know your thoughts down below and enjoy the games. If you're looking for PTCG live codes, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code OmniPoke. So going into our first game, we get to go first, which is always the ideal situation for Terapagos, because we are predominantly an evolution deck and that's what makes it so dangerous, and of course we can't use the Unified Beatdown on our first turn going second, so we have to wait regardless, so we may as well opt first in the deck. We have that really nice Buddy Poffin, which allows me to get Fan Rotom for the Fan Call, which sets up the hand so beautifully, as we know. Just going to take a look at some of the prize cards, but looks really, really good for an opener for us, to be honest with you. Going to slam down the Terapagos as well, but looking across the board, it's a Dreepy, so we're not going to be pressurized. So next turn, as long as we aren't hit with Iono, we're going to keep double Noctowl, and we're already holding onto a candy piece for either Dusknoir or Pidgeot, which is just absolutely exceptional for us. The opponent has the Buddy Poffin into the Ultra Ball, and they're going to grab Rotom V here. And they're just going to end on instant charge, so no support from them, and the board is actually pretty vulnerable. Whenever you see a situation like this, the priority is to take out both Dreepy with an attack and with a Dusknoir combination. And with the 4 cards we're seeing here, it is not going to be tricky to pull that off. We even have a couple Nest Ball floating in the hand for some fodder for an Ultra Ball. First of all, we're going to get Pidgeot EX into play. That unlocks our double turbo energy, so that achieves the first KO. And also using the Turo that was already in hand allows us to move the Noctowl out the active, but also reload one for the following turn. So that sets us up even better for next turn. We'll have Quick Search and another Noctowl to go. And now we can dual seek for certainly the Ultra Ball, and then the other question mark is what do we want from there. And looks like I'm picking up the Area 0 Underdepths as an option here, so I can push my damage output on another turn. I think this is really reasonable, right? Because I know that next turn I probably have to go either via another Dusknoir again next turn to take a 2-prize KO, you know, deal with another Dreepy and another Dreepy next turn, if that makes sense, if they're just both reloaded. Or I have to use Terapagos to KO a Rotom or a Fez. So we're going to, again, have that really strong board, sit on an Area 0, which may be a little bit risky, but we know that we're not going to be damaged by anything, so nothing's being taken off this board, really. Unless there's some crazy Thorton shenanigans, but that would require a really specific hand from the opponent. We're going to see the Candy Pidgeot from them, and they are going to pop in double Dreep down, and they're just going to flip the script. Let's see if they can carve out anything here. They obviously have Quick Search still. They're going to grab something from the deck. Radiant Alakazam looks to be the option. League Headquarters is going to be picked. That actually makes our choice of Area 0 look even better, which is pretty nice. They can Arven, so we get to keep a busted hand. They grab Candy Crystal. And there's going to instant charge up to 9 cards. So we are already holding on to Prime Catcher for one of these Dreepy. And I can Noctowl for Candy Night Stretcher for Dusknoir. So again, I think we're just hunting 2 Dreepies this turn. I think it's that simple. I might be looking at Boss so that I get to keep Prime open. No, we're just going to go Candy Stretcher. We have a couple different ways of going about things here. Like, I could just take out a 2-prize Pokemon pretty happily, but continue to deal with Dreepies seems like the best policy for me here. We're going to see what we take off our prize before we have a look with Quick Search. What we want to do here. Then we're going to prime up Dreep. And what we're actually going to do is Quick Search for Iono here, because the opponent's sat on a 10-card hand. So we'll just throw this out. Also refresh for us before we go even lower in prizes. And they just concede after 4 Dreepy are KO'd, which is super reasonable. Let's get into our second game. And we're actually up against Clorf. We did get to go first, though, which is good for us, but also kind of good for them, because they get to launch the first attack on the first turn of the game. So something to be aware of. We are able to pop in once again. So straight away, the fan call's coming in. We can get plenty of the chaps, which is great. And we also can bank an energy early. Then the question is, do we want second Hoot or the Pidgey down? And we're just going to go for the Pidgey in this instance, because it gives us options for lots of things. It's not easy for Clorf to gust on the first turn, because they're quite setup reliant, right? They need so many pieces to actually get that initial attack. But here they go. They've already found the Brute Bonnet, and they can Squawk and Seize. Actually did have some bosses, but we're lacking the double turbo energy. Really happy to boss at the discard pile pretty early here. But of course, Bloodmoon is also weak to fighting, so the Unhinged Scissors can be taking the first 2 prizes here if it wants to. As long as they find double turbo. We're going to see the Arven now. That gets Forest and Lotto. Lotto's not guaranteed, but still a decent dig to try and find that double turbo energy. See a quick Town Store fitting the deck of a tool first. Gonna get super effective glasses so they can... Oh, they whiff the Lotto. But looks like they can Forest now for double turbo with the Forest Hill Stone. Electrode combo. That's actually pretty good for me that they've had to spend Forest in this way. But it does mean they are initiating the prize race, starting that pressure. I can Noctowl into Pidgeot, and Pidgeot can find me double Turbo, and I could just respond on this Clorf with Pidgeot, thanks to the poison damage from Brute Bonnet, so that's probably what I'm going to do here. I feel like that has to be our best line, to be honest with you. Because this is one of our only Pokemon that isn't weak to fighting, and we know that they've already played a couple boss, so this Terapagos might be a bit safer in the back. So that's probably what we're going to do here. It also means we just get rid of the town store. They've already spent the forest, so it's not like a big loss of consistency, but it's just a bit of extra disruption that we can weave in here. And it also means that we're playing around Fez really nicely. They can't just get a free 3 cards from Flip the Script thanks to the Poison KO, which is during checkup. The opponent actually does have an Artisan for a second Clorf here. And let's see what they can construct. A couple of Binding Mochis, okay. Into the Electrode, so they're just going to swing for 100. Okay, nice. That's exactly the turn we needed. I think now we just win a race all the time, to be honest with you. I can take 2 with Terapagos this turn, and then it's just about setting up my board for either a Briar Gust play, or for a Dusknoir, a Clorf plus Gust play on a Squawkabilly. So, with that, all it took was that one turn of them not taking a 2-prize KO for us to be right back into this race. Because even though Clorf is a single prize deck as an attacking threat, there's still many multi-prizes in the list. It also means we have the chance to get a cheeky research in here. But all we need to do this turn is take a 2-prize KO, and that's been achieved really easily. And now we get to sit on a really solid hand, plus Quick Search as well. And again, so many options here from the Quick Search. If I take Night Stretcher, it opens up Dusknoir for me, but also if our stadium's bumped, I can get a Noctowl back. I already have Ultra Ball in hand for a Noctowl, so looking pretty good, all things considered. We are going to be going down to 3 prize cards remaining, and basically allowing our opponent to KO the Terapagos, because that's when we're at our most dangerous, right? When they have 2 prize cards remaining, that's what activates the sort of remainder of our deck for being absolutely crazy. So they actually do go for a Tenacity, and that does open up, well, it does remove our stadium, so we do free up our Noctowls, so that stretches live for us now, which is great. Let me see the Town Store coming in. There's a Petrarunt promo, and a rescue board coming onto that guy real quick. See the Clorf come in and an Unhinged Scissors, so they're doing what they need to keep up in the race, but our hand is massive, and we have Quick Search and Noctowl once again, so every turn of this game we've just had an insane amount of search to get what we want done, and it's just a matter of going through the motions now. I can stretch her back Noctowl, I can Ultra Ball Dusknoir as well, so we just have so many ways of winning here. We're going to take that Dusknoir. Actually, we could have taken a 4-prize turn here, to be honest. So, I think that's what we're going to try and style on our opponent with here. With the Briar first, then the Area 0, so I can open up the board. Just to really show the sequencing of the deck more than anything else. Area 0, open up the bench, so that Terapagos is dealing as much damage as possible. We're going to C3 from Flip the Script. We still have Quick Search, don't forget. So, yeah, then we can Quick Search. We can take Counter or Prime, doesn't really matter. But yeah, we're taking 3 on this Squawk already, but we also had Dusknoir, so we had so many ways to close out the game there. Really, really solid stuff from Terapagos when Clorf did really well at the weekend. And you would think that it's awkward for Terapagos because of that type coverage. But again, we just have so much wiggle room in this deck to still make life difficult for the opponent just because we're searching out every card we want to so frequently. This time we're up against Charizard, and again we get to go first. This deck is so dangerous going first, to be honest with you. We're really showing the highlights of the deck because every time we've had Fan Rotom, we've actually had Poffin in a number of these hands, and we're getting to sit on Noctowls as well, which is just crazy. Like, look at our hand, it's so well set for next turn. Let's see how our opponent does. They have a Poffin plus Rotom, and they do have Arven, so it's pretty much the best turn they can construct. Poffin plus Supporter. They can get another Poffin. And TM Evo, actually. Now, the thing our opponent does here is go for 2 Duskull. This might be because a Charmander's prized, obviously, and it's often that Charizard only plays 3 Charmander. But, again, same old story with evolution decks. If they only get 2 out, it's not difficult at all for us to KO both Charmanders here, and that's going to be our route. As they are able to TM Evo, they can get a Dusclops and a Charmeleon. And it passes over to us. We actually pick up the Pidgeot from the top. That's absolutely crazy for us. Now, our only issue is we only have 1 candy. 2 are in the prizes. I'm only playing 3 in this list. But you can play 4 copies, obviously, and this would be a reason to do so. So it means we're actually not going to be using Candy Pidge here, because we still need to prioritize taking out Charmander, Charmeleon. So instead, the Pidgeot's probably going to be discarded from the Ultra Ball, so that I have Night Stretcher for later, just when I take candy off prizes, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to take Turo plus Feather Ball here as easy discardables from my hand, because my hand is still really, really busted, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to remove the Feather and the Pidgeots from play. Now Night Stretcher's live, so I can still get that Dusknoir off. The only question mark here was I could have discarded Nest Ball instead and hoped to hit candy off prizes. But by keeping Nest Ball live, it keeps me having like my next Terapagos open if my opponent gets a surprise attack in with Thorton, or I could get like Fezandipiti or something like that. So we're actually at Dusclops from prizes, which is really nice because we're lacking candies. But now with the evolution into Dusclops, I can still threaten Dusknoir next turn. So again, it's a turn 2 prize KO on 2 different Charmanders, and our opponent is going to have a Thorton to really have any pressure play here, unless they have like Base and DTE as a combo or something along those lines. Strange to see Charizard play Basin in the first place, but maybe they have some like basic fire attackers or something. They're going to Ultra Ball away Rabska. And they are going to make a Dusknoir. Okay. They're going to try and disrupt our engine, perhaps. No, they're going to take out a Dusclops because they're worried, maybe, of us taking out multiple threats. We pick up that rare candy, which is really nice. So now my Noctowl could get that Night Stretcher for Pidgeot next turn. I see a fire to Pidgey and then just an instant charge. We pick up the Prime Catcher, which is definitely dangerous. So we will be going down to 2 prizes against a Charizard player. And theoretically, it's possible for them to still win if they Briar plus... Oh no, I guess it's not because they don't have Charmander, right? If they had Charmander, they could Briar... Well, like they can't Briar and Thorton, right? So they can't actually beat us. So my priority is still going to be just disrupt the board as much as possible. I don't have to fear the Duskull at all. So I'll just take out the Pidgey this turn, I think, is my best line, and develop Quick Search. I think that's the best thing I can do. And at the same time, I want to still have access to Noctowl next turn. So that's why I'm going to grab either Poffin or Hoothoot here. Based on the amount of 60 hit pointers left, I'm going to take a Poffin and ensure that I just still have Jewel Seeker every turn of the game. That's really what you want to do with this deck. As long as you have access to Jewel Seeker, you have access to so many things. And as you can see, we've been strangling our opponents out of any situation. We take the Briar from prizes, which is fine. You know, if our opponent does somehow take a 2 prize KO, I now have Briar Catcher in hand. So they really need to hand disrupt us here. They need to like Unfair Stamp, or they need to Iono, but here's a Thorton, which means I get to keep Briar Prime Catcher, which probably is going to be game here, unless they also blow up the Duskull this turn. But they have been finally able to Candy Zard at least. But we are winning in hand unless they have access to Unfair Stamp. They were able to deal with the Pidgeot though, so they've pretty well constructed a good turn. Thorton Countercatcher Candy Zard with no Pidgeot in play. Pretty impressive, to be fair. They had one of the best turns they possibly could, but thanks to the prize card, we're actually just holding on to game really easily here. If we didn't take the Briar from prizes, we would just be going Prime Catcher Research, hope to go for a wide enough board to KO a fish, and it wouldn't be much to ask for, especially with still Ultra Balls live and Night Stretcher live for more Noctowl. So yeah, really, really impressive showing from Terapagos. Obviously, I went first in all of those games. I'm very aware of that, but the deck is crazy when it gets to go first. When it goes second, its board can be pieced together its board can be picked apart that little bit more, and it can be a little bit more dangerous. And of course, you can lead 2 prize card Pokemon, which can be awkward. But in pretty much every situation, thanks to Dusknoir and Briar, you can still win in 2 attacks. So you can always beat the racing decks, even if they find a way to 2 prizes in the opening stages. Let me know what you think about Terapagos Dusknoir. Is it the new best deck in format? It certainly feels like it at times when you're just searching the deck for everything you want to. Turn by turn, it really can be crazy. I'll hear it all down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Cheers.